Welcome, welcome, welcome. I was singing my song, Let Me Through There, Let Me Through There. Welcome back, everybody. I need to put that on a little voice track so I can play it at the beginning of each episode. All right, so welcome back to What She Said Sports. We have an exceptional show lined up for you today. I was watching the new Matlock before this show came on, so I'm primed and ready to go. As y'all can tell, I love a good mystery because I'm going to crack the case. All right. So I hope everybody have a good evening. I wanted to start off the show with some some goodness because it can get a little heavy sometimes. So I just kind of wanted to share where's this photo I have right here of snow. I had this cute photo of here he is. Tell me he is not adorable. And he has drip. And he's not even 2 years old. What does this prove? The next generation of the Sanders will also be iconic. That's exactly what it proves. And it was interesting that I was cleaning out my inbox, was going through my emails yesterday. I went through a lot of emails in my draft folder. And then today I was in my inbox, just going through, looking to make sure I didn't, miss anything and deleting things. I told you I had like 11,000 emails. So I'm like down to 10,200. So I saw this email and it was from Anita, who sends me good insight about the Browns. And this particular email kind of spoke to what it is that I've been saying. Like, the Sanders legacy is the one that the NFL is trying to shun. So Anita had previously, probably a couple of months back, sent me an article showing me the relationship between Dee Haslam, which is Jimmy Haslam's wife, and Olivia Manning, which is the wife of Archie Manning. She was like Miss the homecoming queen or whatever for like Ole Miss back in the day when the senior, Archie Manning, who the grandson is named after, they all went to Ole Miss. But AI likes to break things down and make it concise because I know people, have been hearing what I'm hearing, right? That Andrew Berry got to go. And maybe Haslam is going to call Peyton Manning. And of course, Haslam went to Tennessee. Who else? Archie Manning went to Ole Miss. Haslam went to Tennessee. Peyton went to Tennessee. So that's the connection. That's why they didn't say Eli. They could have said Eli, but Peyton Manning went to Tennessee like Haslam. But what was interesting was the way they described the Manning family. The most successful NFL family. And I was like, interesting, right? Because there are other players who didn't get a fair shot because they were related to two other people. So you have Archie Manning, who was a quarterback for the Saints. You have Eli and you have Peyton. That's three people, right? And then Cooper Manning got hurt in college, and I think he might have went to Ole Miss himself or Mississippi State or somewhere. But it looks like they favor the Ole Miss University, and for whatever reason, Peyton chose Tennessee just like Arch chose UT, right? So those two went off on a different path. So I noticed that they said, they talk, really, they call, like Olivia Manning is like the matriarch of the most successful, NFL family. And it made me think about the Sanders and how hard the NFL is working to smother the Sanders legacy. See, a lot of people are looking at what's happening with Shedeur in Cleveland as, oh, Coach Prime did something wrong. No, Coach Prime did something right. Because in addition to cleaning out my email, I was cleaning out my screenshots because I have a lot of images. And I ran across a screenshot that I know we all have seen that shows that Coach Prime is like top four. I think he's, out of 5 college head coaches. The list said the most powerful college head coaches. It was 5 of them. Sarkisian, the guy from Ohio State, Kirby Smart, the guy from Clemson, who I think Kiffin. Oh, no, I don't know. Whoever Clemson coach is, and Coach Prime. And I said, between the Sanders, between the Mannings having all of this clout in the NFL, being the most popular NFL family, they look up to these people like they're royalty. They can do whatever they want to do, right? Which is why they have influence over the Giants, the Saints, and now it seems that Haslam is salivating to hand over the reins to the Mannings, right? So, I thought about how the draft went, and it was New York that, humiliated Shedeur. And we know Pat Schumer worked there. So that's one angle, right? We're like, why would Pat Schumer just sit there and, he worked there. Why would he compare Shedeur to Daniel Jones? Why would the Giants lie on Shedeur? They didn't want to get Shedeur. That's obvious, right? There's a post out there that's also in my screenshots that talks about how the Giants drafted two players who were friends with the daughters of the head coach and the GM. So Abdul Carter went to Penn State. They drafted him first, I believe. He's black. They were supposed to draft Shedeur first, but he was a black quarterback. And then they went on to get Jackson Dart, who was friends with Sydney Schoen, who's the daughter of the GM. So, it almost seems like the girls are like, hey, can you draft this person? Can you draft this person? Because that's how cozy it was. But see, the reality is they just didn't want to draft Shedeur. But they felt the need to lie to push Shedeur out the way. Now, you would think that's one team, right? That's one team that actually defamed him. I have screenshots that's saying no other team disparaged Shedeur when it came to his interviews. Not Callahan, who was just fired. Even the Browns. I have a screenshot saying the Browns, they were impressed with Shedeur. They didn't have nothing negative to say. But I don't think it's a coincidence that the Mannings are involved with the three teams that have actively tried to humiliate Shedeur or had a hand in it. I say the Saints had a hand in it, right? And then you have the Giants, who actively set out to disparage him and Coach Prime, right? So that told you the agenda was about pushing the Sanders away, because the NFL just had the Sanders at the Super Bowl weekend. Shedeur was in the celebrity flag football. And then Coach Prime was on the stage with Bill Belichick, right? So it shows you that even before the draft, that there was a concerted effort to rein in Coach Prime and Shedeur, knowing all the well they were going to push them down in the draft. And it's not just because the GM's daughter went to Ole Miss with Jackson Dart that the Giants haven't had a black starting quarterback drafted in the first round. Saints neither. That's not the reason. Cleveland either. That's not the reason. You know what the reason is? Who's the common denominator between the Saints, the Giants, and the Browns? What the Browns trying to get? Who they trying to get to? That's the common denominator. The Mannings. So I don't know what the hell went on in the NFL when Archie Manning was there. I don't know how old Coach Prime was when Archie Manning was a quarterback of the Saints. I don't know what the hell has transpired. I don't think it was anything. I've actually seen a video of what appears to be Peyton Manning throwing a football to young Shedeur with Coach Prime with his Atlanta Falcons jersey and scarf on his head, like he looked for the Falcons. So that tell you that was the early 90s. I don't even know how old Shedeur was in the early 90s. There's a video out there with the three of them just throwing the ball around. And Coach Prime was the defense. Shedeur was the quarterback pitching to Peyton Manning. So it looks like Coach Prime did have some kind of inroads to the Mannings. But it looks like every team that the Mannings are associated with shunned Shedeur. And it's not just because they want Arch Manning to go to Cleveland, who gonna get a new stadium, and Haslam gets to exploit the last name of the Mannings. No. It was about blocking Shedeur anywhere, including Pittsburgh, so that Shedeur doesn't have that footnote. When you Google the relationship between, say, the Sanders and, I don't know, somebody, the Dallas Cowboys, who people felt like Jerry Jones treated Shedeur like a godson. So if you were to ask about the connection between Coach Prime and Jerry Jones, that it would say 5, 10 years from now, the Sanders are one of the most successful NFL families. That's why Shedeur is being held back. And his career is on a dead end. So looking at young Snow, don't know if he's going to play football or not. He's into music just like Shedeur, just like Shiloh, just like Coach Prime, just like Bucky, just like his father, right? So it's possible that he could go into music. And I thought to myself, I wonder how, if Snow was in college right now and he were a sophomore, what would they be saying about him right now? We don't know because he's so young. He's not even 2. But I get the feeling that they would shun him too. Because the overarching goal, yes, it is 17 to 32. Absolutely. And they use Coach Prime as a scapegoat to devalue Shedeur by blaming Coach Prime. That was just a scapegoat. Yes, Coach Prime is one of the most powerful NFL coaches, and college coaches, and they don't want that, right? So yes, but that wasn't the only reason. The reason is so that the Sanders NFL legacy isn't listed up there, and the verbiage doesn't change to the Mannings and the Sanders are the most successful NFL families, because it was what, 3 of them, and then it would be Coach Prime and his 2 sons. So Archie Manning and his 2 sons, and Coach Prime and his 2 sons. You see what they stopping? Yeah, they don't want Coach Prime to be influential in college, but this is more important. It's more important for Coach Prime not to have achieved what Archie Manning has achieved with his 2 sons. Success, therefore usurping the Mannings, who are older. And a lot of people don't really buy into them like that. That's the older generation. So that the Sanders, who's younger, who's current, who's already famous, doesn't take the throne. That's why. They're not going to ever say it out loud. But if you think about Lamar Jackson and how he was snubbed on his 3rd MVP, and you think about Tom Brady and how Tom Brady has 3 MVPs, but it took him 11 seasons. They don't want these Black athletes wiping out their legacy. They want to reign. They want to reign as the most successful NFL family. You know what I saw today? CBS listed top 25 of all-time players. I don't think Coach Prime was on that list. So I put on X, I put the gift with Coach Prime in Atlanta going into the end zone. And I said, it's crazy how the media and the NFL are working together to wipe out Coach Prime's legacy. And they're doing it by trying to disrupt what he got going on in college. Yeah. So Snow is already famous. People say, sometimes I think he know he famous because he move like it. He has like serious faces at times. Drip is always there. Everybody knows who he is. He's already Shiloh. He's already Shedeur. He's already Bucky. He's on his way to Coach Prime. And he's not too. They don't want Shedeur in the NFL as a quarterback, the most important position, QB1, getting all the shine. And then here comes Snow. Or Shiloh. And then here comes Snow. And then Bucky. But here comes Snow. And see, it was okay for Bucky to film, wasn't it? We don't see Bucky filming. We know because he told us. But Shedeur would be the most probably influential NFL quarterback, just like his father is one of the most powerful, top 4, top 5, most powerful college coaches. They fear that. They fear Coach Prime. They fear Shedeur. They fear Shiloh and Bucky and Snow, all getting the spotlight and wiping out their legacies and them falling away to irrelevancy. So the evil inside of them made them snuff it out. And Shedeur is on a dead end track. We're going to hear from a former NFL player who also talks about Cleveland. It seems like to me that Cleveland might actually be a detention center, a jail, a dead end. That's the place that you go, that the teams send you to when they want to move you out of the league, but you still got a year or two on your contract. That's where you go to die. That's why the NFL took Shedeur off the board and nobody else could get him but Cleveland to make sure he goes to a team where his career would die. We're going to see what guys say about that. But that's what it is. So just like we heard from Johnny Manziel and that other player, we got another player to listen to. And shout out to these former players speaking up and telling the truth. And even if you in your last year or two, having the courage to speak up, because that's what's been absent the entire way. Just like in Cleveland, only Stefanski has been telling people what's been going on. Up until recent, only the media has been feeding you information about the NFL. But now the players on these podcasts are speaking their mind, and there's former players, and I'm happy for it. And that's what's going to be the change maker. The only reason they've been able to get away with this as long as they have is because the media can drown out any story because there's so many of them. In the NFL, you don't see them. You see what they want you to see. You never see the owners because they shield it, except for Jerry Jones. Right? You don't really see nobody else. Haslam want to be like Jerry Jones so bad that he took himself out there to Ohio State and let everybody know he want to get Arch Manning. And people are saying, okay, you're going to have to win the rest of the season. Remember, it's October. This time last year, Shedeur was the number one quarterback coming out of college. And they manipulated the Heisman in effort to manipulate the draft because they working together. And they trying to negatively affect these black quarterbacks coming out of college, just like they succeeded with Shedeur and Jalen Milroe. So shout out to Miss Pilar for being where her sons are, because she a good mama. She gonna go to these games. And Shiloh's video, last I saw, was at 400,000. I know some of y'all can check it. Has he hit 800,000 yet? Because he gonna do a bill on this video. And I thought it was interesting how all of the media wanted to talk about Shiloh's video. But when he was in the league, they didn't want to talk about it. As long as he's not a threat to the Manning legacy, I guess he could talk about it now. Because that's really what they protecting. They're trying to preserve whiteness in the NFL. They don't want, even though 70% of the players are black, 70% or more of the players are black, and they getting ready to try to change that too, understand it. They don't want the fans to come with the black players like they came with Shedeur. They want the white people who are out there, who they want the ones that have racial bias to support the NFL. They don't want 70% of the players and 70% and their audience, like Shedeur has, to come with. Does that make sense? And I ask, why would you expect a bunch of people who are racially biased towards black people to come watch this? This is exactly why Deshaun Kaiser was allowed to go 0-15, and 64,000 people in Cleveland kept showing up. Because they're not watching a football game. Just like when Shedeur said, if you're not serious about changing the culture or winning, don't draft me. They heard something totally different. They heard control. Oh, he wants control. But seems that Shedeur didn't know they don't allow the black players to have control. And it seems like he didn't know that. Because it seems like Coach Prime did what he wanted to do. But they made sure that Shedeur doesn't have any power, any influence. They try to dissuade his 4 to 6 million fans. And they got him on a dead end track in Cleveland to discard him by this year or next year. Just like DTR. But DTR didn't have 4 million fans or 6 million fans. So we're going to see what guys say about that. All right. So shout out to Shiloh, who I posted last night or early this morning. Shiloh is presenting seemingly maybe virtually at Edward Waters University and HBCU. Now, y'all probably heard me say that I wanted Shiloh to go to Jackson State homecoming. I know Shedeur couldn't go, but honestly, I wish I could rewind time and just get Shedeur to Jackson State homecoming versus Alabama State ASU. Oh Lord! But when I saw this, I said, okay, I'll deal with this. So it says for the culture, Edward Waters Universities and HBCU. It said featuring Shedeur Sanders, and it's a special live broadcast. So it doesn't seem like he'll be there. It seems like they'll have him virtual in, which is fine. But I wanted him on the ground in Jackson State homecoming. And then it goes into his bio, who he is. So he's gonna do a special live broadcast for Edward Waters University. So shout out to Shiloh. You can register for it. You don't go there, so you probably can't, but check the link. Maybe you can, and you get to see the broadcast. I'm gonna have to go find a student at a faculty at Edward Waters University so I can hey, I need that recorded. Because he's doing speaking. This is good. This is a good route for him. Look at how effective and powerful Michael Irvin's voice was after the Colorado game. I was like, Coach Prime, you need to come back. You need to bring him back for the last 5 games. And then, you know how Coach Prime has the D patch for dog and the L patch for leader? I said, Coach Prime need to get a P patch for playmaker. Somebody that embodies the spirit of Michael Irvin on the field and off. And they have them, right? They have players like that, right? So shout out to Shiloh. But I love this lane for him. It proves, the NFL is not your only option. You're already successful. When you look at his bio, former Tampa Bay Buccaneers is really the only thing that pertains to the NFL. He already was successful before he got there. And this is their problem. They didn't want Coach Prime's, one of his sons, both of his sons, to be successful like the Mannings, right? And you would think the Mannings would be like, look, don't put us in this, right? There are no coincidences here, people. No coincidences. So, shout out to Shiloh. If I find out anything about it, I'll let y'all know. I'll let y'all know. All right. So, speaking of the Browns, there was a church. I must be somewhere in Cleveland. I think I told y'all about this yesterday, but I didn't want to go and try to upload it into my site crash. It said, not the church throwing shade. It said, let's be honest, Browns fans. Do you really have anything better to do on Sundays? No, you don't. No, you don't. And the way they over there trying to justify keeping Kevin Stefanski as their head coach, and oh my God, the latest narrative. Y'all not gonna believe they on the second, third wave of this preventing 17-32. Trust me. These people, I need to find out what platform they on talking, because they've been talking. They got a new narrative, y'all. They got a new narrative to support Dillon playing for the rest of the season. Yes. And it's the same narrative that's going to negate or going to push down any elite Black quarterbacks coming out of the 2026 draft. It's sad. And they've been working together. And there's names like Drew Brees. I don't know how many Super Bowls Drew Brees won. If somebody knows, let me know. And then J.J. Watt. I said, wait a minute. Didn't J.J. Watt play with Deshaun Watson at the Texans? I was like, that name sounds familiar. And I was like, yes, that's right. Remember, I told y'all. See, when you know you got some dirt, that's all I'm gonna say. So it looks like to me, the narrative is being pushed forward that mediocrity is the way to go. Let me tell y'all what Drew Brees said, then we're gonna listen to it. Drew Brees had the audacity, because Dillon is not that tall. And they say Drew Brees not that tall, but Dillon probably shorter than Drew Brees. Check this out. Drew Brees is pushing the narrative that rookie quarterbacks need 50 5-0 starts before you can assess if they're going to be good or not. 50, 5-0. How many years is that? If you play 20 games, it's 2, 4, 6, 60. So we're talking 50, 2.5 to almost 3 years as a rookie, which means they can go get somebody who's not good like Dylan and let him play all season, and their fans are supposed to be okay with the mediocrity. But I've heard people say so many times, oh, Pat Mahomes never started, but he could have. Just because Pat Mahomes didn't start doesn't mean he couldn't start. And what have you seen lately? What have I pointed out? All of the quarterbacks that came in along right after Lamar Jackson, where they had the classes of 3 black quarterbacks, Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young. Now you got Caleb Williams. I think Kyler Murray came after, and they own him. I'm like, all of these channels are putting out negative stories about black quarterbacks because they're trying to reduce the numbers of black quarterbacks. And they already got the mediocre narrative to let the rookies get drafted in the first round and pay them all this money, even though they're not good. So they get ready to rob black quarterbacks of generational wealth like they did Shedeur. And what they did to Shedeur, they finna repeat and repeat and repeat for the foreseeable future until God come down here at 4 o'clock in the morning and like, look here, this too much. But let me tell you what that's going to result in. It's going to result in the fans going to find something else to do, because you can already tell that they're on that narrative that mediocre football is okay. People have pointed out, why has there not been a reel or videos with Josh Allen throwing an interception at the end of the game? I'm like, why has Josh Allen not ever been filmed with his wife other than when he called her up there? That's a bigger question. So they like Josh Allen, but they don't like his wife. That's why. And since Josh Allen is their guy and they lost to the Falcons, they don't want to put out endlessly. They don't want to talk about the interception he threw. They don't want to talk about how he's not playing good football. Why? They don't want to talk about it because it points to the fact that the only way the Bills can beat the Ravens is if the Bills are allowed to cheat the Ravens by somebody on the Ravens making mistakes. That's what it proves. It proves that once again, the NFL was colluding against Lamar Jackson. And it should make you go back to that championship game where somebody who wasn't black couldn't hold on to the ball. But then it should make you look at Derrick Henry this year and go, oh, they decided to go ahead and get somebody that was black. So Derrick Henry is apparently deciding to just not be a good football player this year. Maybe Derrick Henry wasn't willing to blow the AFC game last year. Let's see. Oh, wait, they're not going to make it. Aaron Rodgers got the nod. So they can justify keeping the Joe Flacco's and the 2% battery lifers around. I'm like, Shedeur, cuzzo, at some point I'm gonna need you to figure this out, because I don't know how much longer I can look at this. This crazy. I'm like, and I get it. These young men are competitive. They're not gonna just walk away or get pushed off their path. I get it. But these young men better do like they doing and talk to each other and help each other get along and put y'all heads together and figure out when they start plucking y'all out one by one what to do next. Please go start your own. I've said it. While Shiloh out there, start your own 11v11. You're going to have to do it anyway, because I can see what's happening. And I know people that are paying attention can see what's happening. They are willing to be mediocre so they don't get to 17 of 32. They are willing to be mediocre and tell their fans, no, this is how it goes. See, Drew Brees said it takes 3 years for a rookie to determine if he's good or not, meaning you can't judge Dylan off that one game. But they benched Shedeur behind Dylan off that Rams game. And Shedeur was set up. Dylan was not. So they basically getting their fan base ready to accept mediocrity, whether they lose this season, whether they get somebody out the draft that's not good from the bottom that fit their philosophy. These black men are out here playing football while too many of the other people are just trying to control black bodies. Black men are out here trying to be financially secure, acquire generational wealth, and play the game they love. But not the other side. That's not what they doing. They trying to hold y'all down. They trying to strip you of any identity that you have and break you in half. And the only way you get acknowledged is if your wife is white. But if you white and your wife is black, they ain't gonna say nothing about you either. That should tell you that disdain for black people and how it is they could own teams that you work for. Reminder, you do work on a field. And you go into a field house. And black players are often more devalued. But now that they want to hold back black quarterbacks, I guess I'm going to have to show some interest in the running backs. Maybe. And that's how we get to the topic of Vanilla Vick. All right. So I have a post from today. I have a post from today that somebody was telling me in the comments that their algorithm or something about their algorithm said that, I don't know if they're a New York Giants fan. If you're in the comments, feel free to identify yourself. They said that Jackson Dart is being called Vanilla Vick, like Michael Vick. I was like, excuse me? And she was pointing out how that the Giants are only 2-4. I was like, who is out here calling Jackson Dart Vanilla Vick? Right? There's a lot of posts going around showing how they celebrate the swag of Jackson Dart, but they dismiss Shedeur's personality because they don't want to see it, right? Because they don't want him to get no shine, but they want Dart to get it. But here's the crazy part. Cam Scatterboo is the star of the team. The last game when they kept talking about Dart, it was Cam Scatterboo. And when I was also cleaning out my screenshots, I ran across a screenshot that talked about how they devalue the running backs in the NFL. And I'm like, until the quarterback is mediocre. There was a post today that said, how is it that somehow Cam Scatterboo has all these yards and all these scoring? I'm like, because he's the star of the New York Giants. And y'all just talking about Jackson Dart. You can't not talk about Cam Scatterboo because that's who's doing all the scoring. So people are asking, why didn't Stefanski run the ball with Quinshon Judkins? Why didn't Stefanski do the same thing when Nick Chubb was there? Nick Chubb had the same type of stats that Quinshon Judkins had. But instead, he put Dylan out there and let him go 52 and no touchdowns. And apparently when Nick Chubb was here, it was the same way. So Stefanski seems hell-bent on his quarterbacks being a game manager. And he don't care if they go 52 and no touchdowns because his job is safe and he gets to do what he want to do. And Nick Chubb don't get the shine and Quinshon Judkins don't get the shine. Just like Cam Scatterboo is being paired with Dart, when really it should just be Cam Scatterboo. But you find people that are okay with playing the number 2 when they really the number 1. And that's who they trying to turn Cam Scatterboo into. Somebody who doesn't have enough self-worth to know that it's really them. That they just happy to have the t-shirt. I like Cam Scatterboo. But him telling people he from the ghetto and people talking about that rather than the reality is he's the star of the team. But as long as he's going to take a back seat and play his role. You know, the money that these players make, for the players, it's their financial security. It's their generational wealth. Not the way the league is looking at it. The money is to subdue you and do as they say, for you to be loyal to the club's mission, which is why they paid Myles Garrett all that money. They knew when they paid Myles Garrett And it would surprise me if Myles Garrett agent knew, you can get this money because they don't want to get a quarterback, so you could go ahead and get that money, I bet. And they'll make you to start a team. And did. But the starter team gravitated towards the franchise quarterback that they don't want to play with, which is Shedeur. I know somewhere along the lines, even though he didn't say nothing negative, they like, we gave you all that money so you could do as what we say. That's why they give all the black players the money. Not so you can go enjoy yourself. If they can't stand to see the sight of Shedeur's chain, but they can stand to see the sight of Dart's chain, they want your culture on Dart, but not on you, which means they don't want you. They feel like they need you. So what you gonna do when they realize and they come up with a plan? As you're gonna watch the next few years, they whittle away from these black quarterbacks. They gonna try it, but are they fans gonna allow it? I don't know, because the top 10 teams with the most attendance, 8 of the 10 have black quarterbacks. Now you can guess who they are. So I don't know how they gonna turn all of these quarterbacks to be mediocre and give them Daniel Jones 6 years to get it together, and they fans gonna keep paying it. I've seen amounts of money to come see it. We gonna see. We gonna see, right? Because what does it say on my screen? When people tell you that you can't shrink yourself to greatness by eliminating all the black quarterbacks and making them the QB2s or just kicking them off the roster altogether because the climate in this country is not what it should be. What does it say right here? Those who don't hear must feel. And since they want to go down this mediocre track with the likes of J.J. Watts co-signing and Drew Brees co-signing so they can coax their white fans into mediocrity and be okay with looking at check down, check down, check down, they got Quinshon Judkins and had Nick Chubb and still didn't use them. But when they went to London, they did, because they wanted to make a good impression in London. They don't give a damn about over here. And again, that's for NFL fans to figure out. Just like the Cleveland fans are starting to figure out. They playing in our face. Yeah, wait till you realize the NFL been playing in your face all years. All years. Because if you know anything about Europe, where they trying to go, soccer is the number one sport, and there are black soccer players, and they are celebrated. So those who don't hear must feel. And that's where we headed. They're on the cusp of mediocrity. They're going to get there because they're going to force their will. They're going to force their way. They arrogant. They're going to have to fall on that sword. Those who don't hear must feel. And that goes for the Browns too. So, that's where we are, right? Shedeur is somewhere where he's expected to be on a dead end, right? They've tried to cut him 3 times, 4 times, and they can't, right? And that's why I keep saying we're going to see what God said about that. I was looking at older video. If you see me post, in case you missed it, you may have not been a follower of mine when I posted something. So I posted some things that y'all maybe never saw. And it's from when Shedeur first got to Cleveland on up to now. Trust me, you're going to want to watch it because you're going to be like, damn, this is exactly what's happening. Right. This is exactly what's happening. We already had this conversation that Shedeur was the best. I have a screenshot that says Flacco beat everybody else out at OTAs and camp. When that happened? That never happened. But you see, this is why I keep screenshots, because they lie. And then they send people out like Drew Brees that they think you're going to look up to. Well, we know we ain't looking up to Drew Brees. So the message not for us. And again, if the league is 70% black, you want me to think that your fans are not? See, you only want to focus on the fans that come to the game. But 130 million people watch Kendrick Lamar. That's the fans you better focus on as well. You might want to focus on all of them. And stop trying to get people who are racially biased to support you coming to get black people to get hurt. Because that's what's been happening. And all of those quarterbacks, including Caleb Williams, Justin Fields, Bryce Young, Stroud, Anthony Richardson. They trying to get rid of them one by one. Kyler Murray. So Shedeur is not expected to have a future, but he was also expected not to make the 53-man roster. And you see, he's still there. He's not expected to play this season. We're going to see. Now, there's a lot of us who have come to the agreement as Shedeur Sanders fans and normal people, normal football fans, that the Browns know Shedeur can win. As you see right here on my screen, they know Shedeur can win, but they choose not to win with him because his career is supposed to be a dead end. I ran across the screenshot today that talked about how the NFL gave out Shedeur Sanders' phone number with a daily transaction report known as a waiver wire to everybody that works for the NFL, including the equipment managers. Who remembers Shedeur throwing to the equipment managers? They were trying to tell him, we're getting ready to cut you. When you hear Shedeur say, thank you, God, he think his time is up. Because he's on the inside. He's seeing things that we're not. He knows things that we don't know. But I know enough to know they have tried to cut him multiple times and cannot. And now, since we got to keep you, we just going to bench you, draft to destroy, and we're just going to sit you on this bench. Well, let's see what happens. Because everybody expects one of these coaches to be fired after the game on Sunday. They're debating if it's Stefanski because something about the bye week. I don't know. I'm like, if Haslam hired Stefanski because they have the same philosophy when it comes to quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders, when it comes to black franchise quarterbacks in the first round, that they have standards and we have to put him down so he doesn't attain QB2. Did he get the QB2 anyway? Everything the Browns keep trying to do to make sure Shedeur does not get to QB1, they can't stop it. They can't stop it. They thought they was going to cut him. So they try to humiliate him in front of all of those people, which means they've created a toxic environment. And the Browns need to understand something. The way things are today, they may not be tomorrow. And they banking on the climate that we live in today always being this way. But let me tell you how Jeremiah 29:11 fits into this scenario for Shedeur. And it took something that's taking place in Memphis for me to put it all together. In Memphis, I think the National Guard was sent there, or the Texas National Guard, somebody was sent there to police Memphis, right? And of course, there were a lot of people against it, like you see a lot of people against it in Chicago. Understand, what's happening in the broader society is happening in the NFL. Who saw Shedeur Sanders on video with Shiloh and a young lady that's not black, that's not white, ran up to him? Oh, there you go. You know, I got to make sure you stay out of trouble. She was sent to police him. So a lot of people talked about that. They were like, now what she got going on? And I looked at his face. So it looked like they got somebody on him to control. That's what the National Guard is supposed to do in Memphis. The black people, the area that they sent them in, was supposed to be upset. Shedeur was supposed to be upset after the Rams game. He was supposed to be upset after this young lady comes running up to him, telling him, oh, there you go. You know, I got to keep you out of trouble. Thank God that was caught on camera. I really appreciate that. Just like in Memphis, the people were supposed to get upset. But turns out, they were like, thank God. Because what had been happening is people had been terrorized by some local people or seemingly local people that the local police didn't do nothing about. So the older generation who was having their homes broken into, the young kids that getting bullied, that's getting robbed, they welcomed the National Guard. So what was meant to harm you. It's actually for your protection, Shedeur. It's for your protection that it was caught on video that the young lady, oh my God, there you go. I got to make sure you don't get into trouble to control you. Just like in Memphis. Turns out they happy. And I know they like, wait a minute, y'all happy to have us? Yeah. See, they thought they was going to riot or fuss. Mm-mm. They didn't feel over policed. They felt underserved by the local police. So they was happy to have the National Guard. I know they was like, they offering us water, juice, and coffee. Right, because they want you to stay. Because the people that were paid to protect and serve are not doing so. So y'all stay here. See, it's not working out like they thought. Just like they thought Shedeur was going to be upset, they took him out with a 2-minute warning. They thought he was going to flip out. They must have thought he was going to quit all this time. Everything they thought they were going to do. They thought he was going to go undrafted and then they was going to cut him. Hasn't happened. They thought they were going to cut him after he was, before the 53-man roster, when he was throwing to the equipment managers, just like it said. Did it happen? No. They didn't think he was going to make the 53-man roster. He did. They thought they was going to cut him after the Rams game. Too bad. He's still here. Everything that was meant to harm Shedeur by the Browns. The Browns can't do what they want to do. And it's for his protection because what have people pointed out? The Browns don't have O-line. Not only that, the game plan that Stefanski has is for a game manager. Do Shedeur need to be out there throwing 52 times with no touchdown? No, because it's going to work against him. Just like it worked against Shedeur. The Rams game, Kevin Stefanski succeeded at putting Shedeur down, which meant holding him back from being QB2. But now he QB2 and Flacco left. They couldn't stop that either, could they? Or did they make it happen? Either way, Flacco has moved on to better. Flacco has scored more points with the Bengals than the Browns have all year. The unexpected is coming. And it could be Andrew Berry now that he realized they're trying to toss him to the wind for the Mannings. Never know. He might call up one of his buddies and pull a Ozzie Newsome and just, we wake up and Shedeur is in New York, the Jets. It happened. Lamar, Baltimore, and they couldn't do nothing about it. But what did they try to do? They tried to get revenge on Lamar. Do y'all know they tried to break Lamar down to a pure pocket passer? Yep. But then they don't want Shedeur because he a pocket passer. But then Deshaun Watson, who's a dual threat, doesn't fit in Stefanski's system. Shedeur Sanders, who's a pocket passer, doesn't fit in Stefanski's system. Jeff Fisher tried to break down Vince Young into a pure pocket passer. So whatever the black quarterback is, that's what they don't want. So let's just all say it. The Cleveland Browns do not want to win with Shedeur Sanders because he's a black franchise long-term quarterback, and that's not their vision. Their vision is for a white quarterback to lead this team, but they had Baker Mayfield, and he about to be MVP in Tampa. So what's up with that? Because Kevin Stefanski wants a game manager. So they send players to Cleveland to kill their careers, whether they a pocket passer like Shedeur or whether they a dual threat like Deshaun Watson, because they know Stefanski can't coach. He won't run the ball, but he'll let Dylan get out there and look stupid throwing the ball 52 times. And then the rest of the league wants to embrace it and try to convince the fans to pay $600 for tickets because, it's going to take him 3 years to get it. He got to have 50 starts. Dylan needs 50 starts before we can assess that he's a good quarterback or not. Those that don't hear will feel it. And I still say, while the NFL seemingly wants to talk to white people, don't forget the majority of the players are black and we right here. And if you let Jeezy be the halftime show in Atlanta, you know what time it is. You know what time it is. So wishful thinking, right? So as you can see on my screen, the narrative that they're pushing right now is to make sure they never have to be accountable for what it says right here on the screen. As the draft approaches, the speculation surrounding Sanders and the Browns will only intensify. One thing is clear. Cleveland is seriously considering going with Sanders at number 2, hence the deep discount. And they believe that he has the potential to be their franchise quarterback. Here's what Cleveland needs to be forced into being accountable for. You believe that he has the potential to be your franchise quarterback, but you have him on your roster at QB2, and you left your quarterback out there to go 52-0, and I heard he hit his head, and you wouldn't take him out the game. So Shedeur, your franchise QB that you got at a deep discount, can help you win. The Browns know exactly who Shedeur is. Cleveland is expected to be a dead end for Shedeur until they decide we want to exploit you for $4 million. They never want to talk about this that you see right here. You can Google it. It's on the internet. Adam Schefter posted this. I have multiple copies of it. The Browns know exactly who Shedeur is. They know they can win with Shedeur, but yet they refuse to. The same can be said for the Baltimore Ravens. And I have said to y'all multiple times, what does Shedeur have in common with Lamar Jackson? They have 2 different quarterback styles. We know they both are winners. We know they both are franchise QBs, but they both have been publicly colluded against by the NFL multiple times. And why is that? Because they brown skin. And it's about optics for them. So they're willing to do them dirty. We love their melanin. And if you don't love a black quarterback's melanin that can help you win, you need to be forced to sell your team or you need to be fired. So I hope Brian Flores's lawsuit makes another step forward. That's the part that they don't want to say out loud. That's also why Tyrod Taylor got poked in his lung. And y'all know Tyrod Taylor is beautifully melanated. If you can't appreciate melanin, then sell your damn team. And I hope one day when the Sanders are done with the NFL, they sue the NFL for equity and under the damn ground for discrimination. So everybody knows who Shedeur is in Cleveland. And they told you that multiple times. It's documented. But they never want to have the conversation that he was going to be their franchise QB because they don't want to be held accountable. The unexpected is coming. All right. So it's the bye week in Colorado, but there's some good information to report. Shout out to, y'all know, Kaden Salter, the highest rated quarterback for passing in college football. A 92 was the highest score. Or, yes, Kaden Salter. So, like I said, no more Kaden Salter slander. If that kid had been on track from the beginning and not held back, seemingly like Shedeur was in year 1, he would be exactly what they said he would be. Higher up in the conversation for the draft. He was already number 15. He probably would be number 10 or number 9 or number 8. So do I believe it's a coincidence? No. I think it was designed to hold Cater back like it was designed to hold Lenore Sellers back or to hold Thomas Castellanos back. Just like it's not a coincidence they keep pushing up Dante Moore, who's a sophomore. He can't go nowhere. But they want to keep talking about it because he can't go nowhere. They did the same thing to Lenore Sellers last year. Oh, he gonna be a first round pick, but then when the season starts, he gets so heavily concussed. What are they, number 21 now? Because he had to miss some games. Not a coincidence. Not a coincidence. So shout out to Kaden Salter. And it seems that Mr. Chidozie Onwaku is headed back to Colorado. And I heard him say it, didn't know what he meant, but I heard more about it. So if you watch like Well Off Media, Reach the People Media, after the game that we played against Iowa State, they flashed the camera to Chidozie. He could be heard talking, and he was shaking somebody's hand. Maybe it was Darius or somebody else. And he said, I'll be back on Monday. He get ready to start working with the Buffs. From what I hear, he's going to help the Colorado Buffaloes when it comes to tackling. I guess like the front seven, because he was a front seven, a part of that group. And I'm like, okay, so maybe we'll get better at stopping the run, because we're going to need to be better at stopping the run going forward, right? And then Coach Prime could be heard on camera today. I guess I was watching Well Off Media or Reach the People Media when they were in their team meeting. And Coach Prime said, all right, since I know some of y'all going to hop in the portal, make sure you do your best out here so you can get your film. We want to make sure you get some good film, because I know some of y'all hopping in the portal. Whenever it comes to the portal, Coach Prime, make sure these players know you ain't finna sneak out the back door. I know you leaving. So we talked about it. January, some people gonna leave, and you know it is what it is, right? Look like things are turning around. So we don't know who leaving. I'm not gonna speculate, but it's good to have a coach that can be transparent and not angry. So you have to tiptoe around him. Coach Prime, like, look, I know some of y'all gonna leave. Just do your best so you can look good on film, and we'll get the film to you. I mean, you can't ask for that, right? I'm like, see, this is why Coach Prime is a good coach, right? Because you don't have to tiptoe around him. He gonna tell you like it is. And nobody's perfect, but at the end of the day, Coach Prime is a good coach. People had their doubts. He's a good coach. All right, so because a lot of people probably would even give you the film, make you have to run them out to get it or something else like that. So congratulations to Chidozie. Supposed to be working back with the Buffs for a bit to help them shore up. I guess it's the run. Sure up tackling for the run. Now, I thought Chidozie was a good tackler, right? I thought he would be in the NFL, but I don't know. Something happened. It didn't work out. BJ Green actually made it to the NFL. They used to play on the same, I think, front seven, or maybe BJ Green was an edge, but I think he was a linebacker too. And BJ Green is actually actively playing for the Jaguars. So next time we watch the Jaguars, we're going to be looking for BJ Green and Travis. So BJ Green been out there playing too. So shout out to Chidozie. Shout out to BJ Green. And I guess the Buffs are gone on they had a scrimmage today. So it looks like a lot of people might be, going on a little vacay or taking some time off. I'm sure some will stay and continue to work out, because some do, right? But shout out to Chidozie for getting the opportunity to work with, the guys that came behind him, because he has a lot of experience, right? Coach is the one thing, because you played a long time ago, things change. Having somebody recent to come in, you never know. This could lead to a coaching position, whether it's at CU or somewhere else. Maybe a path he maybe didn't consider, or maybe he considered down the line. So shout out to Chidozie for coming back to help the Buffs. All right. So no game this weekend. So we not live this weekend, but I might find something else to watch. We don't have a game, but I sure am gonna miss What She Said Sports Lounge, where we do our virtual watch party. If they have any good games, any notable games to watch, y'all let me know. We might go live for it. So drop some notable college games coming up this week that we might care about. And maybe we can go live on Saturday to watch that game. Now, if OU in Texas were this week, I would definitely watch it. But I don't know. I didn't look at the schedule, right? So I want to share some things that are actually taking place on my X. I saved it so we could talk about it. And I wanted y'all to kind of know about these things, right? Some of them I already told you about, but I just want y'all to hear some of these things. One in particular is a former NFL player who is talking about the Browns and why he was sent there. I want y'all to listen to that. All right, here it goes. All right, so so y'all can see my screen. Good. Oh, this is with Shedeur Sanders. This so now we know why Shedeur was at a car dealership. So Shedeur is still active in the community. Y'all know how he was in the airport and the kids saw him and he went to their game. This is when he was at the high school. So Fox News 5 or 8 was reporting on Shedeur, talking about how good he is. And this is when he was actually doing the interview. And we were like, how did they know he was there? Because they were already interviewing him, I think. So Shedeur, they gave away a car, the dealership, and they got Shedeur to come in, or Shedeur gave away the car in conjunction with the dealership. So that's what he was doing. Just in case you didn't know, they were giving away a car to a family. So it's Fox 8. I think they have like a Fox 5 and a Fox 8. I need Fox 8 and Fox 5 to investigate the Browns. I know y'all have those investigative units over there. So get on it. It says the Browns' former NFL players, Rashad Jones and Pac-Man. Listen to this. So I hope nobody cusses, because I'm gonna have to like try to get through it as best as possible, because you know Pac-Man can go, right? It said Gabriel is throwing kill shots. Every ball he throws is high. He's gonna get these guys killed. I want to see Shedeur. You got nothing to lose at this point. It says some just got to change. And I said earlier, right? Browns fans, y'all do not accept the mediocrity they are pushing on y'all. So
this is about why he's not playing.
Let's get into it.
The Brown was horrible. Like they was terrible. Like I think a college football team could have probably beat the Browns at the time when I was playing.
Speaking of,
oh, okay. So he was talking about when he was playing, they were still bad too. So if anybody knows this guy, y'all let me know. When he played, I don't know. And is he the different guy from the other guy in the video with Baker Mayfield? I think he's a different guy.
Browns still horrible.
Wow.
Gabriel,
I'm scared Pac-Man gonna say something.
start fucking.
Yep, there it is. See, I knew it. I knew it was coming. Let me try to get a little ahead of it, because he can go. All right, let's try it again.
This motherfucker, every ball he throw is high.
See what I mean? All right, we ain't gonna worry about Pac-Man. This is what he said. Gabriel is throwing kill shots. Every ball he throws is high. He gonna get these guys killed. I want to see Shedeur. You got nothing to lose at this point. Some things have to change. That's on Real Pac-Man 24. All right, we're gonna have to keep pushing, because Pac-Man, I need bleep, 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 bleep. Now, at another university, we've been talking about head coaches getting fired, right? Florida head coach Billy Napier could be fired as soon as this weekend, per USA Today Sports. It said, according to sources, Florida's athletic director met with a handful of influential boosters on Tuesday and was told continuing financial support depends on a new direction within the football program. So now, you know, I talked about this with Colorado. I said I felt like the boosters was pushing for Staub. I felt like what's his name? Schumer was in on it. Now I could be wrong. It could have just been all Schumer. But I was telling y'all, these boosters are out here paying good money for people like James Franklin to get a buyout of $52 million. And we talked about if that's what was happening out there, because, you know, clearly Coach Prime was sold some BS, right? So that's why Coach Prime went back to went back to what's his name? Kato Salter, and say, look, I'm committed to you. And it took a man to do that, right? And you had to put your pride aside to do that. So this is a prime example of what I was telling y'all, how these boosters are out here leaning on these universities. And I'm willing to bet you good money. Deshaun Foster, even though he was a UCLA alum, I bet the boosters ganged up on UCLA AD and say, you got to fire him and we'll pay the $6 million buyout. Then it happens at Penn State. Franklin goes 0-3 probably for the first time ever. And they come up with a ton of money. $52 million buyout reportedly. And y'all think they won't find 44. I'm just saying. I'm so glad we won that Iowa State game, you know. And I think it was unexpected. I think it was unexpected because of the way we won with the interception and things like that. Shout out to Colorado. So you see how these boosters are doing these coaches dirty. And these boosters got philosophies on what should be happening and what shouldn't be happening. And I don't think boosters should have the ability to tell the athletic director what the hell to do. And who installed the athletic director? Did the boosters pick the athletic director? Where is the president of the university? How is this even possible? But that's what's going on, y'all. These boosters, stay tuned. Stay tuned. All right. So these guys were just talking about whether Kevin Stefanski's seat is hotter than Mike McDaniel's this weekend. A caller basically said they think Stefanski is in more trouble than McDaniel's. I didn't listen to it. I just kept pushing. It's just in the midst of me getting to this video right here. So it says, awful. Odell Beckham Jr. said the Giants purposely sent him to the Browns to die and struggle. Y'all see the pattern, right? Shedeur, Deshaun Watson. See, people blinded by the money Deshaun Watson got because they didn't know that Deshaun was not the only person. They didn't know that Deshaun asked for a trade and then no women came forward. They got found. See, that's different when you know about that. It said, the Giants sent me off to Cleveland to die. I could have gone to the 49ers and I could have gone to the Patriots. I could have gone to the teams who had a chance to be great. So let's listen to this. This was a podcast. Let's just take a listen because this is showing you guys the pattern. The pattern when it comes to black players, when it comes to black quarterbacks, and how they get sent to Cleveland, like Cleveland is a detention center, or in high school, what they call ISS or a jail. But their careers are supposed to come to an end. And more times than not, they do. It seems to be Cleveland starts the trade process where you get traded one time and then you get cut, or you get trade and cut. So let's take a listen to this because I thought this was really good.
No, there's a bit of me that like feel like the Giants sent me off. I've said it before, sent me off to Cleveland to die. You know, I could have went to the 49ers. I could have went to the Patriots. I could have went to teams that had, you know, a chance to be great. And that's not what their desire was. Their desire, you can't tell me that this was the best trade package we could have got for you. No, your desire was to, you know, kind of fuck me over a little bit. It's how I feel.
Darn. Okay, all right.
You know, you feel like I made a fool of you or the organization, and that was never truly like my intention. Like I'm just that competitive. Like I wanted to win. Like I always wanted to win. I'm tired of being 6-10. We haven't done anything to make changes. Eli's going out. You know, I'm texting Eli like you're 7th on the list. You know what I mean? Like for the greatest of all time. Like I want to see Eli go out with another Super Bowl. Like we're not putting the pieces around him, and I feel like I was being wasted as well. Like that's how you know. Like stats is cool and shit, but like when you losing. Yeah, it doesn't feel like, okay, cool, I had 1,300, whatever, 1,400 yards, just many touchdowns. Like, bro, you lost.
So, he played for Cleveland too, and people thought he was coming back this year. I don't know what his status is in the NFL. I feel like, I don't know what his status is. If anybody knows, let me know in the comments. But what caught my attention is he said he was sent to Cleveland to die because we have pointed out that that's a pattern, especially when it comes for black players. That is a pattern. And I pointed out that technically only Flacco and Baker Mayfield, the quarterbacks that can get out and their careers still thrive or move on to something better. Like they don't talk about Baker Mayfield. The NFL is or the media is because he's doing well, but they don't want to look at the Browns and hold Stefanski accountable. That's why a fan was calling into that radio station basically saying that Stefanski is in more trouble, and he should be. Because look at what happened when Baker was there. And they're like, well, they moved Baker out to get Deshaun. Well, that, you know, Deshaun could have went to 13 teams, just like Odell Beckham Jr. is saying. I could have went here. I could have went there. You're going to tell me this the best you can get? This is how they control and restrict your movement. This is also collusion. And it's not new. It's not new. What's new is these guys sitting down and finally speaking their truth. And hopefully Shedeur hears it or have been told by somebody else, this is what the goal is. And he remains grateful that God opens the door and may God's will be done, and have a plan for afterwards, because there will be an afterwards. Because if they don't get you now, they're going to get you later. And if they don't get you out, they're going to get you hurt. So that's what I wanted y'all to hear today about what Odell Beckham Jr. was talking about. It says Dylan Gabriel was asked how he felt Monday after getting hit so much against the Steelers. He said, "My mom used to beat my butt when I was a kid, so nothing will compare to that." And then he said, "I'm just kidding." I don't really think people like Dylan. I really don't. I think they feel like he's slick mouth, and they really don't. All right, so this is the part right here. I'm not gonna play it because it was on First Take, and I think their content is copyrighted, but I'm gonna tell you what it says. This is Drew Brees. This is the narrative they pushing. And JJ Watt got a hand in this. They using him to push it too. I think a lot of these guys need about 50 high-level starts before you're going to know what you have in a quarterback. That includes college and their time in the NFL. So Dylan has been in college for 6 years, which was what, 64 games? He played in 64 games. And they still don't know if he's a good quarterback. And they still making, how should I say it? They're still making excuses for him. 50. But there are quarterbacks that come out of college, like Shedeur, in 4 years that can start. And they don't want that. They don't want that. So now the narrative JJ Watt is pushing is, these guys, it's okay, for them to not be good right now. You can't judge Dylan off this one game, but they judge Shedeur off the one game. They just love the disparity. They create the disparity. They protect the disparity. They spend more time in the NFL because it's a Black-dominated sport trying to prove that Black people aren't as good as they are. That's what they go to see on Sundays. That's what they go to work for, to prove that Black players aren't qualified or worthy to fit the standard of a quarterback. But Johnny Manziel is also the standard, and he gets no flack. Baker Mayfield, I saw his touchdown celebrations. He don't get no flack either. He about to be an MVP. Shedeur could do none of that. And it's like they appreciate the fact that we know that there's a disparity. And they say they want to punish Shedeur, teach him a lesson. For what? Not recognizing that he's less than and can do less than what a white person can? Yeah, that's it. But it's not a punishment. It's open and active discrimination. So you heard Odell Beckham Jr. That was collusion, restricting his movement, sending him to a team where he could go to die, colluding against him. They did the same thing to Shedeur. They did the same thing to Deshaun. They did the same thing to RG3. They did the same thing to Tyrod Taylor. They also colluded against Deshaun Kaiser. And according to Hugh Jackson, they incentivized him to lose. So when you're Black, you either get money to be loyal, like they're trying to get Myles Garrett, or if you're a head coach, you incentivized to lose, to make yourself look bad. So take this money and don't worry about it. What did Odell Beckham Jr. say? In stats, it don't matter. See, he wanted to win, so they wanted him gone because he thought he could control the process of winning or losing. Eric Dickerson talked about it. He said, Black players, we're not supposed to be able to speak out like that. So that means they know. But the money is supposed to make it go down easier. So let me hop in here and see what y'all are saying about this. Because, from the outside looking in, we talk about what we would do. I'm not staring $185 million in the face, so I don't know what I would do. I would think I would go find something else to do before I put myself in this situation. But, let me see what y'all are saying. I mean, I get it. These guys, like, you're not about to push me off my path. I get it. I get that part. I get that part. Hey Gracie, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? It said, B. Thomas said, yes, it is. It said they make everything about race. I hope future Black athletes reconsider going into the NFL. I know that's wishful thinking, but it is ridiculous. JD2 said, and Eli Manning was quick to repeat the line like Travis didn't practice with the offense. He brought it up. That's crazy. And what did I say? Who is the common denominator? And what's happening to Shedeur and what's happening to Coach Prime? Drop the name in the chat. Who are the common denominators? See, they don't want to talk about that because that's crazy. That's crazy. It's funny how Shedeur, Shiloh, all of them, have to be the ones to go, oh, Flacco's nice, or oh, Dylan's nice. You don't ever hear nobody saying that. It's like they have to be the ones to say, oh, no, this person is cool, to make sure the heat don't touch them. But they don't keep the heat off of them. In fact, they bring the heat. Just shameful behavior. Yeah, it's that Dylan playing for the rest of the season. Yeah, that's what they're saying. Dylan is playing for the rest of the season, for the foreseeable future. And maybe for the foreseeable future, because Arch Manning not coming out of school, so they're going to roll with Dylan this year and next year. But the crazy part is, people are like, well, damn it, just give the ball to Quinshon. They won't even do that. But they did it in London. I was like, why the hell Quinshon Judkins got 12 carries? That don't make no sense. Now that I know Nick Chubb was the same way, because they don't want these Black players to get no shine. It's got to be talk about Carson Schlesinger, or it's got to be talk about Dylan Gable, but it can't be Shedeur. It can't be Quinshon. And they got Quinshon in the past that they use to trade away Travis. And they don't want to take advantage of that either. And that tells you their philosophy in Cleveland, they're racially biased. That team, I'm not going to say it's cursed, but in its current state, it is ruined. And do you know why it's ruined? Because it's rotten to the core. Racial bias is the motivator in Cleveland within the organization, controlling the Black bodies and making sure the white players and white people get the credit for what's happening in a Black dominated sport. So the attitude is, okay, you might be the most dominant, but we're going to make you submissive. Why you even got to be involved at all? Go buy a goddamn hockey team. Go get a pickleball league. But no, they have to be involved in a Black dominated sport and subdue any Black players that have self-worth or believe that they have control over what happens. Don't want them to have no influence. Don't want them to have any power. Don't want them to be rich coming into the league, because that's harder to control. And then the NFL, I'm sorry, they don't even want to be accountable. The Browns, they don't want to be accountable for being racist at all. I'm not sure why. If you so bold that you're going to treat your franchise QB this way and never speak again that he was your franchise QB, and Odell Beckham Jr. was sent there, and all these other players that were Black were sent there, you incentivize a Black coach to lose. You don't like Black people, and you don't believe Black people should be in a position of authority on your team. You should be forced to sell your team. That's why they don't want to be accountable for the racism, because I don't want to lose my position to be able to control what goes on with these Black men. I wonder how many people really work there that are Black, like in positions of power outside of Andrew Berry, who don't really have no power. Stefanski got Dylan. We know somebody else is the reason Shedeur is in the league, and that ain't Berry. We know it ain't Haslam. And when the Mannings come through the door, we know that that's Haslam. We know Deshaun Watson is Haslam. So what did Berry really do? Get Quinshon Judkins? And then Stefanski don't give him the ball? They should be fighting. Because why do I keep getting these players and you keep devaluing them? So how am I going to get more money when we get ready to trade them? You not. They're going to blame you like they are now, and they're going to fire you and put a Manning in your place. If it ain't Peyton, it could be Cooper Manning. Hey, Beach, how you doing? It said, does Chidozie have any more eligibility? I don't think so. I think he coming back to help. No, because I looked at his stats. He looked like he started playing in 2020. Something like that. I think he already played 5 years. So I don't know if he was a super senior or how that works when you declare for the NFL. Do you lose your remaining eligibility? I don't know. Hey Perry, how you doing? How you doing? It said, did you know that what happened at JSU and Alcorn State homecoming with one left at Alcorn State? JSU played Alabama State. Are you talking about Jackson State and Alabama State? Let me know, B. Thomas. It said no time for 3 years. Yeah, that's too much time. It said Dylan playing for the next 4 games, probably. Dylan playing for the rest of the season until Shedeur absolutely has to play. And people predict that'll be December. They're gonna let him play when they absolutely have to. If Dylan keep playing, all those other guys on the opposing team will continue to get sacked. Yep. It said that's what's going on with Cam Ward. He looks like good because he's not ready. Cam Ward is good. You know why they fired Cam Ward's coach? Because Cam Ward is good. He might not be better than Shedeur, but he's still good. And the fans recognize that. And they all, if you ask me, that fan base got together and pushed out Callahan because he was discriminating against Cam. He was the reason there was a noose at that damn stadium. And then he wanted to talk about Cam should watch his words. But Callahan didn't watch his words. And guess who wants to hire Callahan or rehire Callahan? The damn Browns fan base. Just want to be sorry. Just want to be sorry. It said, that's what is going on. Yeah. So it says, what's going on with Chidozie? He's coming back to see you to help out the, I guess the linebackers, to kind of work with the team to help out the linebackers because recent firsthand experience tackling. So yeah. So it's all good. It's all good. It says, if Dylan Gabriel continues to play, he will be sacked. Let's see who they can convince to go easy on him like they did the Philadelphia Eagles, who are now getting their butt whipped. Ain't that funny? See how that happened? You see? The Philadelphia Eagles took it easy on the Browns when Dylan was at the helm. And now they out here getting embarrassed by the New York Giants. Or did they take it easy on the New York Giants? It said, it doesn't matter how good Dylan playing. Y'all heard what the Browns team is a graveyard of the league. Right. Which is why we say when it comes to Shedeur, he better off on the bench. He better off on the bench. Again, they tried to move him out. I don't know how many times. And I don't know how this is going to go, but we just going to see what God going to do. But they keep trying to get rid of him. And they don't seem to be able to do it. All they seem to be able to do is convince the fans that they want to show up, which is not us, that it's okay for Dylan to be sorry this year. It's okay for Daniel Jones to need 6 years to get it. It's okay. In other words, Drew Brees pushing, you need 50 starts, right? That's to try to make them kids stay in school. So in other words, when Shedeur comes out in 4 years, maybe that's not enough starts. I don't know. It said, nah, Cam Ward on a bad team with a bad O-line. Right. Now, here's the crazy part. You say they have a bad O-line. I read an article when they did a ranking of quarterbacks, and they had 2 rookie quarterbacks coming in. They had Cam at number 8. And I think they had, even though he wasn't a rookie, they still put him on there. What the hell is his name? You don't even talk about him no more. I guess he out hurt. J.J. McCarthy. They had Cam, then they had J.J. McCarthy. They didn't have Shedeur in there at all. So they said Cam, even though the Tennessee, they refused to name Cam the starter. That's where the problem started before the season even started. They paid this man $48 million guaranteed, but they try to say that he shouldn't, they didn't want to name him the starter because Callahan wanted it to be Will Levis. They had even started the narrative last week, I think, was it last week, saying that did it make sense to draft Cam? It's the same narrative they used with Russell Wilson in New York. So Callahan thought, oh, I'm going to just use that. He thought Cam was going to get fired. He got fired. So something happened over there. And I think the fans, because I remember hearing him talk about several of his games, talking about, damn, he is really making things happen. And it's true. In the article where he was ranked number 8 to be good this year, one of the quarterbacks, it said that the Tennessee Titans went through whatever to protect their rookie by getting him a new O-line. This wasn't supposed to happen. You can't go get a new O-line and then he come out number one and then you say he's not good. No, you're not good because he had another agenda. I wasn't the only person who heard him use a dog whistle. I think that's why he got fired. He's a liability. Stefanski need to go too. But see, the problem is they're not going to move Stefanski until they're ready to get to the Manning kid, the Manning person or the Manning kid. They just going to leave him there and just find a way to, you think that they probably could fire him because he didn't know, apparently, that Flacco was leaving. I'm not sure. It said they try to really injure these QBs. Yep. It said, look at Tua. Yep. See, they was expecting, Tua realized, I think Tua realized they was trying to get rid of him. So they wanted Tua to sign this document or something that if this happened, he only got this, that, and the other. So he went to a neurologist or whatever. And they talked to him about his nutrition and his diet, making sure he stays hydrated because your brain really is supposed to be floating, in liquid. And when you're dehydrated, that doesn't happen. So if you're dehydrated in the game and your brain isn't in the normal liquids because you're dehydrated, the concussion is going to be worse. So he learned how to protect himself. So they try to get rid of him. It said they don't want to play Shedeur because it's about getting the top draft pick. They have the number 1 draft pick. The Browns have 2 first-round draft picks. They got the number 1 pick overall for trading Travis to Jacksonville. They are not tanking. They don't want to win with Shedeur. They don't care if they win with Dillon. They got the number 1 pick already. Knowing Barry, he wants 3 first-round picks. They have no reason to tank. Maybe that's what they want you to think. They already have the 2026 pick, the first pick. Why you think Haslam was at Ohio State versus UT? Because he got the number 1 pick already. It said they don't want to play. So that's why they don't want to play Shedeur. Yeah, the Browns are not good. The Browns are not good. I will give you that. The Browns are not good. Dart is balling so far. Cam Scatterboo is balling so far. Come on, CJ. I know you know better than that. And the players are getting seriously hurt behind Dillon's mediocrity. Yeah, we're going to see what's happening because I don't know how you just let your team get hurt. I think they trying to say the receivers aren't good. They put out stats saying Jerry Jeudy isn't good. I'm like, it's everybody's fault but Dillon. So I'm like a lot of fans that are starting to say, you know what? Since y'all didn't want Shedeur and you don't have no O-line and all you people getting hurt, keep rolling with Dillon. Keep rolling with Dillon. That's what needs to happen. Shedeur is better off on the bench because Stefanski is not going to draw up a game plan for Shedeur's skill set. That's what happened in the Rams game. So I hate to say it, but this year he's going to have to burn it. They're going to let him play because he got to play, but it's probably going to be December unless something unexpected happens. And there's a lot of time. There's 10 games left for something unexpected to happen. And Dart is not balling. Cam Scatterboo is balling. Dart is propped up on top of Cam Scatterboo. It says, yes, they are technically holding Shedeur hostage. It said NFL means not for long. That facts, especially if you black. Woof. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Shedeur new song is banging. What's the name of it? What's the name of the song, Isaiah? Is it really Shedeur's song or is it AI or is it somebody else saying it's Shedeur's song? Did Shedeur really drop a new song? Let me know, Isaiah. And what's the name of it? It said, I was mad that it was the Browns, the worst team for the QBs. Right. It said on one of the Browns podcasts today, they're talking about who would be the best coach to replace Stefanski. Who they came up with? Who did they come up with, Gail? It's 250 some odd people. Hit the like button for me, please. And subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Let me know who they said, who they suggested. I heard people say Callahan. I was like, oh, Lord, stop. In Shiloh's video, Shedeur said, if you want to really know how I feel, go to my brother's channel, Shiloh, for the insight on how I feel. It said, see, he can't say it out loud himself, but Shiloh can. I thought he was just saying he wasn't gonna do no real interviews, but okay, that's possible. That's possible. If you look at the federal census back in the 1800s through the early 1900s with black people, I kept seeing WF besides black people's names. Finally, I realized it was a dog whistle for white father. What? What? She said, I saw her, and that was crazy. She said that to a grown man because that's her job. And notice she's not white either. When she said that, I was like, I'm so glad that was on camera. I'm so glad that was on camera. They sent her to go see what he got going on. And she didn't realize she was being recorded, I guess, because I don't know which direction she came from, but she came running from somewhere. And she said that out loud in front of other people. So that means she's not that bright. She's not that bright at all. That's why they sent her to do it. It said the people getting some peace. It said the people getting some peace, they are relieved. Who are you talking about, B. Thomas? She must be his new handler. Not according to him. Not the look on his face. Not the look on his face. It said, I saw it and it ticked me off. She just wanted to be in the camera. Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Facts. Facts. It said God walks in mysterious ways. Remember. Yep, I sure do. Yep. And when you use that kind of language, when you tell somebody like Stefanski told Shedeur on draft night, God works in mysterious ways, but you the one that try to take him down? The unexpected. I always expect the unexpected. And most people who are arrogant do not. They do not. They do not. Then they tell Lamar he was a running back. They try to convince him to switch off to a running back, I think it was wide receiver. Yeah, they didn't want Lamar to be a quarterback. Romans 8:28, and we know. It said Andrew Berry is going to get his wake-up call. I think he got it, Tina. It said when they are finished with their token employees, they will throw him to the wolves. I think he got it. I think he got it because what did I say? I said a couple of days ago or whatever, it was Stefanski after the last game. Then after this game, so after the Lions game, it was Stefanski. Joe Flacco left. Dylan was elevated. They let Quinshon Junkins run the ball for 110 yards. I showed y'all the stats. Quinshon was doing the work. Then they come back over here. They let Dylan throw the ball 52 times, and they only give Quinshon 12 carries. That's why I kept asking, is he hurt? I'll see what the injury reports say. And then I saw the person say the same thing happened to Nick Chubb. Talking about why Stefanski won't just run the ball. Because he got his game manager in Dylan, which is his ideal quarterback, which means Kevin Stefanski doesn't like good quarterbacks. And that's why Baker Mayfield said, I'm getting the hell out of here. But the others, Deshaun, not allowed to leave. Shedeur, not allowed to leave. Flacco, allowed to leave. RG3, probably pushed out. I don't know. Tyrod Taylor, probably pushed out. Allowed to leave. You can leave, but will your career be intact? No, it will not. It will not. So I think he got his wake-up call because they blaming him. They done went from blaming Stefanski to covering for Stefanski, making excuses for Stefanski, making excuses for Dillard, making excuses for Josh Allen. And now it's Andrew Berry's fault. So I think he got his wake-up call. He's going to get Dylan hurt, and I feel like he knows it. I asked y'all, do he really like the man? You saw the girl that came running out there talking about they didn't hire her to run around behind Shedeur. She wasn't white. She wasn't black either, because we're probably going to tell. But, same thing. Dylan, same thing. It said they can't forget about good QBs until the NFL do right by Shedeur. It said God sends his people places for multiple reasons. Expect change. Yep, we're going to expect the unexpected, B. It says Stefanski dug in like a tick clinging for dear life on his little Dollar General. Right. You know what somebody said? They said Stefanski scared that if he pushed Shedeur in the game, he's going to be fired immediately. I'm like, I don't think he want to push Shedeur in the game. I don't know. But then Boog was like, we going to see why Stefanski do what he do. So I don't know. The situation is a whole damn circus. That's all I'm going to say. It's just a circus. It's just a circus. It's just the circus. Everybody just want to know who gonna get fired first, McDaniels or Stefanski. 22 to my they love that little Dollar General more than life itself. They don't like Dylan. They like the fact that Dylan is the block for Shedeur. He blocking Shedeur. That's it. Because if they like Dylan, they wouldn't let him get sacked like that. Because that's crazy. I even asked y'all. I said, wait a minute. Let's see how many times Flacco gets sacked. Once. See, Flacco in a better situation. That's why I think Flacco might have made sure he got out of there. Dylan is a little guy, backup maybe. But yeah, they are just going to let the kid get killed and toss him just to hurt Shedeur. Yep. Yep. Good job, Kato Salter. Yep. Yeah, they were trying to hold him back. Shedeur's still learning to be a pro regardless. He gonna ball. Shedeur is a pro. Here's the thing. Shedeur was proven a pro in the Panthers game, right? He might have to learn the way Cleveland conduct business, but I don't even know why nobody would want to learn that anyway. But it appears that he's better off on the bench. And when they let him play in that 1 or 2 games that to prove his whatever, so he can move on. That's it. And let's hope that goes well. It said, wow, that's amazing for CU and CW. For who? CU, Colorado. And it said, did you see the practice game where Bartolone was OC and Hilo was DC? No, was that this week? Was that this week? Let me know. Let me know, Peter. Let me know. Tina says she saw it on Well Off. Let me know or drop the video. I'll go back and watch it. No, I think I watched Reach the People Media scrimmage where Ben was white prime. Oh my God, that was hilarious. Ben, if y'all have not watched it, Ben Fineseth, what's Ben's last name? Fineseth or Fineseth? Ben was imitating Coach Prime. You got to go watch it. He had Coach Prime down to the hand movements, talking about 21 days of Prime. He had on like a beard and he had on them overalls. He had a little drink in his hand. I said, one thing about it, Ben been paying attention. Ben been paying attention. And Ben was also our leading tackler last week too. He been out there balling. He might turn himself into a little Cooper DeJean. Yup. If he out there wrapping up them tackles, I can see it. Y'all probably can't, but I can see it. It said Green is a fierce edge rusher. Yep. BJ Green is really good. He should have been drafted probably about the third round. Yep. It said, watch the Browns. What you mean, Beach? Let me know. It said, this sister know her stuff. Thank you, sir. It says, Peter. Let's see. It said, I love it more. Players need to call Cleveland out. Right. That's what I like. That's what I like. I see 2 trains coming down the same track. I see the NFL making a push to make the game mediocre at the quarterback position and go with the game managers like Dylan so they could draft next year all their great white hopes and devalue the black quarterbacks like they did Shedeur and like they did Milroe. Just draft them, rob them of generational wealth, put them on the team as a second QB 2, 3, let them be on the roster for a year or 2, trade them to another team, and then cut them and out the league in 2 years. How do I know this? Because they did the same thing to DTR. DTR was drafted in 2023. They rotated all them damn quarterbacks. Flacco came off the practice squad, and they tried to give him the victory. Hell, he got injured. And they didn't go back to any of those other quarterbacks. Those black quarterbacks, they went to somebody that didn't play at all, which means they didn't give a damn about losing the playoffs. If they didn't care about losing the playoffs and they went 3-14 last year, they don't care. That's why their fans are starting to realize, wait a minute, y'all playing in our face. Yeah. So while that is happening, the Browns playing in their fans' faces, while the league is trying to sneak out the back door to Europe with a mediocre QB product that's not black by devaluing the black quarterbacks so they can go international because that's what they want to go to international with, right? Not Shedeur. Remember, there is NFL Africa. Most people don't know that. That's why there's a lot of African players. I think one team has 6, but do they draft the quarterbacks? Do they get the quarterbacks from Africa? No. There's a reason why Dylan was the quarterback over there. There's a reason why Quinshon Judkins had 110 yards. Optics. Optics. They were trying to impress an international audience. They had Shedeur and Travis on their merch advertisements, but in the game, it was Dylan. Maybe they think he's Spanish. I don't know. Maybe they feel like he's more European. So now Travis is over there because they knew he was coming too, right? They have Travis over there. And Trevor's the quarterback, and I don't even know who they playing. The Vikings or somebody, I don't know who they playing. It's all about optics. And to me, the NFL seems to have a problem with heavily melanated quarterbacks because of the optics. But we love these guys, and they're good. And because this year, they're 16 of 32, and Shedeur was number 17. It's like they extreme with their tactics to the point where they're selling the fans of the NFL overall mediocrity. Let's see how long fans outside of Cleveland buy into the mediocrity. And they know what fan bases they can play with. They know they can't play with Atlanta. They know that for a fact. They know they can't play with the Saints. I don't know if they can play with Jacksonville. Maybe they can because Trevor is locked in to 2029. It's going to be hard to move him. And they know that. And their owner is not white. So I feel like he got the shaft. So if anybody should have got Shedeur, it should have been him. But how is he going to do it? With Trevor sitting up there locked in to 2029. I think that's why they did that to them. And Coach Prime said those were some good people. And remember, there was a rumor that eventually Coach Prime ends up there and Shedeur too. Which is why when they gave Shedeur Travis' number, I said, I hope that's a sign that they're going to trade Shedeur over there to where Travis is. But he might have to sit behind Trevor. Because like Pac-Man Jones said, didn't nobody want to get him. But he looked better now. So maybe they can move him. But his contract is heavy. Maybe somebody that won a new stadium going to have to take on that project. Just like the Cleveland Browns took on Deshaun Watson's contract. Good night, good night, good night. It said Odell Beckham Jr. was cut by Miami in 2024. Honestly, all 32 quarterbacks probably done. At 32, he's probably done with NFL. Okay, so he was cut. Well, I don't know because DeAndre Hopkins, he's over the age of 32 and he plays for the Ravens, but they did only give him like a 1 or 2 year contract. So yeah, you're on to something, Amber. You're definitely on to something with that. All right, y'all, we getting ready to wrap up for tonight. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. CJ said Browns working hard to lose games and trying to make it look like they're trying. Right. They don't want to win. They do not want to win. It says Shedeur got a ball out when he starts. Can't run backwards. He can run backwards. Hell, a lot of quarterbacks run backwards. Like his dad told him. Don't be afraid to use those check downs because everybody else is using them. I totally agree. So welcome to the era of mediocrity in professional football in the NFL because that's where you are. All right, y'all, I'm going to get out of here. So thank y'all so much for over 200 people in the chat. So that means we're definitely growing because I remember we were like 100 something. Now we were 200 something. I think the other day we tipped 400 and something. So we're going to fluctuate somewhere between 270 to 350 on average, which means we're growing. So let's be nice to the new people that join us. Moderators, I hope y'all, when y'all see people new asking questions, maybe y'all can answer them and stuff like that. Don't forget, there's a new post on Patreon. I responded to the comments today. Haven't set a schedule over there, but it's regular already. Just waiting to figure out what days I can post, or I might just be once or twice a week because it's a lot happening, right? And that's where we have exclusive content. All right, so I'm going to say good night. Don't forget, you can shop at whatshesaidsports.com. Check it out. See what's new. Don't forget, we have Halloween merch, so check it out. And y'all have a good night. Don't forget to say your prayers. I'll see y'all tomorrow at 10:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. Thank you every day. Yep, 21 days of Prime. Go watch Ben. Go watch Ben imitate Coach Prime. Ben is definitely the new Shiloh. Ben said it at the end of last year. He said, I'm going to be the new Shiloh. He can check that box. Good night, everybody. Have a good one. Thank you for watching What She Said Sports. Be sure to join our daily live stream and listen up to What She Said Sports on the go on Spotify. Thank you for watching What She Said Sports. Stay for another video.